master. We see that we discussed in the first, if I say, the very beginning of the new year or little before that, I said 360-degree understanding is required. So you need to listen to it again and again to have a clear understanding so that the knowledge is settled in the intellect, which will guide the mind. second, second session we had the fourth desire has to be introduced by the mind in our life. Or we can say it is a desire fulfillment versus self fulfillment. Desire fulfillment outside. You have three categories: wealth, pleasure, and obviously you want to create a harmony amongst with your neighbors, with your family, with your personal and professional life. Obviously, we need to have some minimum ethical discipline. If we don't have, same, I don't have a kind of an ethical discipline with my family members, it is going to backfire. So that is the third. Second, now the last week we covered the basic foundation. These are the basic foundations. Normally, we start learning meditation without having a proper and a basic foundation, and then obviously it backfires sooner or later, and then we leave it. Now the fourth desire means I have an intense desire for freedom. You have an intense desire to go on a vacation. You have an intense desire for, say, for example, the pleasure, maybe the sex or the food. How your mind behaves. So, am I aware when I have the fourth desire? My mind keeps that aspiration for the freedom 24/7. It is emotionally charged. If it is not emotionally charged, nothing is going to happen. We may have good practice, and that's all. We are talking of awakening. We are talking that can I reach to a state of self realization? Now, if we do not build a strong foundation, today's topic is the strong foundation for awakening. We take it casually. Okay, casually. Let us have a gossip about awakening. It will not work. That is not the way to work. Why it does not work? That is what we are going to discuss today. In our journey, in the journey of the Eastern wisdom, great masters, they are living at two different places and they come together and their students, they also gather. And then there is a debate. Debate means logical. The intellect has to shine. The most important point that we miss in the journey of the East and West. That is what I'm going to talk today. No, I believe in God. I don't believe in God. So my entire logic is based on I believe in God, I don't believe in God, and I miss the truth. But those great masters, they debated, and their debate is transcribed in the form of a book. That how they debated. Their main focus was the absolute truth. Their main focus was the real self. No, I have to know the real self. That is all. Let me even if I put the logic and the reasoning based on my belief, I don't question my belief, I shatter the belief of others. And that is rationalization. And that rationalization does not exist in the Eastern wisdom. Now, I believe in God. Why you believe in God? How? Where? What is the way? How you can reach to that conclusion? What is the cause and effect? That is the journey of the Eastern wisdom. No, I believe in God. I'm a spiritual person. I'm a religious person. It doesn't work that way. We are talking of very higher principles so that we can become a higher seeker. So first we analyze, we observe how my mind is working, whether it is working with a belief, whether it is working with a disbelief. From where this belief has come into my mind and how this belief is helping me. Is my belief binding me? Is my belief liberating me? Can I reach to that absolute truth? That is the way. Huh? Okay, that guy is crazy, he misbehaved with me. We just believe. We don't see that in what condition he or she talked to me. Do you see that? We need that extraordinary awareness to become a seeker. And that is what brings us the 360 degree of understanding. I don't see that one has abused me. I see that why. What is the cause? In what state? In some of the states also, we also do the same nasty thing in our life. We don't pay attention to it. That is, that I'm a great guy. So now what happens when my focus is not on the truth, not on the freedom. Last week before that we covered. My focus is not on the fourth desire for freedom. Then what happens in my personal life, in my professional life, in my social life? Can you think of it? Eastern wisdom gives you a total freedom in your personal, in your professional, in your social life. In spite of the situation outside is adverse, the relationship is not good, but you enjoy that freedom. So just look at it. If I focus on my assumption, I have not inquired those assumption, I cannot reach to that 360 degree of understanding. The very first topic that I covered in order to become a higher level of a seeker. So what happens in your personal life? There is a lack of self-discipline. And you are vulnerable to destructive habits. You have a kind of an anti-social detachment. I'm coining the word. Did you understand? Anti-social detachment. An inability to handle basic life skills causes dysfunction. Anti-social detachment means that I'm detached with those people, what I have to do, but I'm burning inside. That is not going to help you. We are talking of the freedom. We are not talking only of closing your eyes and sitting in meditation, getting relaxed and calm. Not possible. So you see that if your goal is not the desire for freedom, so that is what happens. And there may be other things, kind of a resentment may build from unfulfilled worldly desires. That is what happens in our personal life, and that is what causes lot of stress in the suffering. And then what happens? No, I have heard you, I have done the practice of meditation. It doesn't work that way. I've been stressing again 360-degree understanding. Desire for freedom is the fourth desire, lives with you all the time. Should I become angry to have a desire for freedom, or should I withdraw, dissolve my anger and hesitation? Choice is yours. With reference to desire for freedom. Today's topic is that logic, reasoning should aim at finding the truth. You have to explore the areas of your dark areas. No, I believe this. No, I don't believe this. No, it doesn't work. I have to open up. So we are talking that why it happens, how it affects our life daily. So when we are a higher level of a seeker, we use every problem, every adversity as an opportunity. Oh, there are some unconscious areas in me which is reflecting as an adversity in my life. So I have to deal with it. Why I have to deal with it? Because I'm seeking a freedom from my life. You see the logic, reason. Then what happens in our mind? There is a perpetual restlessness is there. While listening, you goody is there, everything is good. Listening and doing the practice, and just after that, the restlessness takes over our life. A sense of dissatisfaction is always there. That does not make you a higher level of a seeker. Your inability to focus. Why? Because the fourth desire has not settled into your mind. Just think, put the logic. I'm just explaining today's topic based on 360-degree understanding, fourth desire, and the last topic, that if I get an emotional freedom, it causes the emotional dependence. That is reflected in physical, personal, professional, and social problems. And the same thing happens in our professional life, social life, family life, relationship. So the first thing that we did was the 360-degree understanding. I have to define the core essence through the intellect. What is that intellect? What is the real self? Are you clear? The knowledge coming from the Eastern wisdom that what is real self and what is false self. Any moment of anxiety, duality, conflict, lie has to do with the false self. Why? Because I'm not worthy of suffering. Why? Mind says, I keep my focus on the fourth desire. I have to find out what causes the suffering. And that is all related to the false self. You see, I have covered the three topics just by making this statement. Then why? I must be curious. I must have an intense desire, curiosity to know why is the mother of wisdom. Why? Why is the mother of wisdom? Understanding the purpose. Once I know that I'm the real self, what is going to happen? Because the real self is of the nature of peace and happiness, it cannot change itself. Does it inspire you? No, it doesn't inspire you. After listening to you, I'm feeling bored. After the listening, I will have to do a lot of things because the fourth desire is not there. Intense. Intense does not mean that you have to show that you are, I'm very excited, sir, about the freedom. Excitement doesn't work. A sense of restfulness works. Your mind may remind you of the teachings of other masters. That is why we seek. And then we have to map the entire process. And that is why we are learning these basic foundations. Why, the moment you map the process, it becomes the question is how, what to do, how to do it, what are the methods. I told you that this woman sent an email that which one is the strongest mantra. So the weakest person wants the strongest mantra. Not possible. I have to become stronger by these basic principles. I am the strongest, any mantra will do. Even simply saying peace will do in English. So that how needs to be understood. And then we consider the time and the change. We say the real self is all pervading. It means peace is all pervading, happiness is all pervading. Then why I am in stress? I need to question my suffering. I don't question my suffering. I quote it. I quote it with different pains. Look at my honey. Honey is responsible for my problem. Look at, I don't have resources. That's why I'm suffering. Otherwise, I should have done this. Are you getting it? Fourth desire, lack of fourth desire. Lack of emotional freedom with reference to my personal, professional, and social life. So we have to put the right logic. And what is right logic? It is looking only for the absolute truth. I am ready to drop all my belief, wrong notions or right notions, in presence of the absolute truth. Then you are there. It doesn't come easy. I have to constantly contemplate and reflect in my life. I hope that car dealer is not listening to my talk. I put this on YouTube. From $900 per month, he has reached to $525 a month. It helps you in every sphere of your life. I'm just telling you. I'm not excited, I'm not dependent. Can you imagine? Just as one example. So you live your personal, professional, social life with extraordinary awareness. You don't allow that thought process which causes you the anxiety. If I should have taken for $900 per month, I cannot pay. Yeah, emotional dependence. So the goal has to be very clear, and this is what the 360-degree understanding is. I'm just giving a real life example. When I'm not taking until he comes down more. So I combine the two aspects. What are two aspects? The intense desire. What do you mean by intense desire? The other three desires are secondary. This is a primary desire. Simple. But it looks simple. I have to work on my life and the mind and personal and the professional and the social life. I come to your house and I say something, you get upset. Now your desire is not the fourth desire. Or your honey says something, you get upset. Look at it. That needs to be understood clearly. If you do not understand that, Why I'm talking about today's topic. We had beautiful experiences in meditation. We reached to a state of almost kind of a bodilessness. But when we return after a few hours of the meditation, we return to the same old lifestyle. Why? I'm just telling you the reason. We have an advanced cognition and the intellect as a human being, which is not available to any human being. I have to I have to refresh it. I have to clear mind from those false assumptions and the wrong notions so that I can use this advanced cognition and intellect. And then meditation, mindfulness is just, it is not a practice. You have understood it. You live into that state. It is a self consciousness when we talk of this self awareness. Animals also have every living being has a self awareness, but they don't have a choice. They cannot change it. I gave an example. A tiger jumps onto the tree looking for a prey, and the tree is full of fruits. We have a choice in a self awareness. I see why to look too far for food. Fruits are there. I don't see. I don't see that fruit even when the adversity is there in my life, even when there is a problem, even when there is an anxiety, even when there is a reaction. I don't see that. So that is what we say lack of self awareness. So look at, understand, try to understand how our masters have contemplated and reflected and passed on this wisdom. Now you have some kind of say for example anxiety and we start talking, I have 5 episodes, so let us go to a psychiatrist and take some sleeping pills. That is one option. That is also a knowledge. But here the knowledge is totally different because it is totally focused on the fourth desire for total freedom. And you see the self-awareness. How can you have an anxiety if you separate all the contents of the mind from yourself? That you have done many a times. But I forget. I forget in those moments. Smile is lost. And that is why Master says, oh, so you are in anxiety, give me 3 benefits of it. There is no benefit of it. And the ethical reasoning, or you can say the ethical discipline, is made to keep the mind in the state of purity. Don't see that ethical ethics and it has to work. No, it will work in the society, but it has more to do with the self realization, awakening. So once you put the right logic, again I'm explaining you. No, in my view, it is this. Not in my view. What is the absolute truth? Focus is there. I believe in this religion, or I believe in spiritualism. I don't believe in religion. It doesn't work that way. It's a casual, it's a gossip. When we are a seeker at the higher level, no, I know this. I believe you all have understood the last 3 sessions and what did I talk until now. Then the master says, there are different ways. Every master says there are 5 principles, there are 6 principles. So I collectively say there are 6 basics for a higher seeker who goes very deep into every 6 steps to reach to that state. First step is known as the Mangala Charan. I'm just talking and then we will talk in detail in our next session. So first step is the Mangala Charan. Sanskrit word. Mangal means auspiciousness and Charan means behavior, action, state of the mind. My inner state by the state of my mind is going towards auspiciousness, not going towards anxiety, not going towards finding the fault in others, not going towards unethical ways. You see that? Look at this. That makes the mind impure. We're not talking that, I have to be a highly ethical in the sense to have a purity of the mind. Why? Purity of the mind can reflect that absolute consciousness in my mind, and that results into awakening. So normally people burden themselves, I'm very ethical, nothing is happening, so they become hypocrites. Eastern wisdom doesn't talk about any kind of hypocrisy. What you are, you are. So the first step, first basic foundation is I invoke the auspiciousness. You see that on Monday and Thursdays, that is why I give that mantra, to invoke that auspiciousness. Second, that you compress the 360-degree understanding by the 4 basic steps. That is known as the 4 connections. So you connect your mind, you connect all the 4 dots all the time. All the time. What I'm doing, I'm teaching now. I'm expressing that consciousness. How dare I can teach? I'm passing on this wisdom from those great masters. So it comes from the first step. You maintain that sense of humility. Humility does not mean that I speak very softly, sir, you all are very good, and internal hypocrisy is there. It has to be logically defined. It has to be logically defined. Understand that. And it takes time. So the first step is the invoking the auspiciousness, and the second step is the 4 connections. I have to connect the 4 dots. I'll talk about the 4 connections. So once I have connected the 4 dots, my mind will now move with the 360-degree understanding. Now I could see the lot of challenges my mind has created because of a habit, because of instinct, because of emotional dependence. So I have to apply the fourfold practices. You can also say after, I can say that after Mangala Charan, you can create another step also. Whether it's a desire, there are fourfold desire. So you clear. I'm just writing because it just prompted my mind. My mind popped up. So the first step is invoking the auspiciousness. Second step is the fourfold desire, where you choose out of the 4 desires, the primary desire in my life is self-realization. Part-time desire of self-realization doesn't work. What to do with my personal, professional, social, you continue to do it. I have just explained you. Keep on doing it. Perhaps you will do much better in your professional and social and family life. I can bet you. You are 100% clear. So I introduced, instead of 6 steps, I added 1 7 for the sake of understanding. Every teacher has their own way of expression. Invocation. Second is the fourfold desire. So you are clear about, I have an intense desire for the real self. The rest 3 desires, I will continue because I have to exist. My physical, my family, my personal, professional life has to continue, but in harmony by 360-degree understanding. So then comes, I have to clarify where I'm lacking, why I have a stress in daily life, in my personal, professional life. So, how to get it clear? How to make it clear? By the four connections. I'll talk about this. And then I still recognize that mind is bombarded with lot of issues and anxiety and pressure. How to clear that mind? By fourfold practices. So there is a four desires, number four connections, and then we have a fourfold practice. You see, it makes you remember all the time. Now the big challenge comes. I have understood it. That is what Dennis Group has started doing at a very beginner's level. So I have understood it. You made me understood. This is the principle, but how to translate that into my behavior? I have to do karma yoga. Where is that karma yoga? Let me give an example. That is the next step. You became angry over your honey. Anger is gone now. You realize that your anger is not justified. At present, you are calm. You are a seeker. You go to your honey, you say, I'm extremely sorry. This act will never be repeated. So you converted that mental state into your behavior and action. Do you dare to do that? No, 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 no. Honey did this. How can I do this? Well, honey may be my mom, my dad, my brother, my friend. I tried to do it, Jerry knows it. It didn't work. So let it not work. So I'm happy. I'm still happy. I started with happiness and I'm still happy. That is the most challenging step in our life. It transforms your mind when you do the karma yoga. The attitude inside the head is expressed outside in your action. Now, I will not say sorry, because he is a bit egoistic. Let him be egoistic. Who cares? I move with the humility in peace and happiness. Are you understanding? So what happens? It dissolves your inner conflicts. Basic foundations. These are the basic foundations. And every foundation takes, more than 50 hours to explain. I'm just giving an overview of it. Now what happens once you have done the karma yoga? Do you remember? The first is invoking the auspiciousness. Second, four. Third is also four. Fourth is also four. What is the first four? Four desires. So you know that. So you will remember. Then four connections. It keeps you on 360-degree understanding of the intellect. Then the fourfold practices. Here's a small three practices. Three groups of practices are internal at the level of the intellect, and the fourth is outside. And then comes the karma yoga. I explained you karma yoga. That is the karma yoga. Karma yoga, no, normally we say karma yoga. Okay, yes. Oh, you need a tea? Oh, let me offer it. That is also good. In a community, that is also good. That is also, but basic karma yoga is this. And then what happens? Then the mind is still distracted. It has an oscillation of attention. In order to arrest that oscillation of attention, I gave you the practice of Mondays and Thursdays. I'm just explaining you how I designed the practice so that you understand that. So I give you the practice of triangle. It is just to prevent that oscillation of attention of the mind on the past impressions, which you have all succeeded. So there are hundreds of practices. So once you have done all these 6 steps, and then the seventh is what? Then comes the seventh step is you are listening and learning from the teacher. You instantly contemplate and reflect. And before you go into the practice, you already have a realization. You simply close your eyes, your mind is clear, you live into that state of mindfulness. I have summarized this. I'm sorry, if I might have left something, so I will cover that later. It is not that I stick only to the 7 steps. I can convert these 7 steps into 10 steps or 15 steps for the sake of understanding. The seventh step, so you have started listening and learning, you are consistent into it, that begins the process. Every seeker has to start from somewhere, and it has to start from consistent listening and learning, contemplation and reflection. So why I said the seventh step is you are become a higher level of a seeker. Now your contemplation and reflection makes the things very clear to you. You did something, some mistake, some fought with someone yesterday, and now you are listening to me and you say, today I'm going to say sorry. I will seek the forgiveness because we all are connected. And you do it. You don't do it, you have to continue listening and learning. You do it with an open mind. Do you see the difference? You don't do it, you are not that level of a seeker. You shed the burden. This is too much of a burden on my head. Let me change it. Perhaps Ashok has done a little bit. He has some problem and he talked to me. He was saying that now the life is better. You see the internal state in your personal, in your professional, in your social life. We don't recognize this. What we recognize, my boss is crazy. Boss is crazy. First, look at your craziness. Who labeled in you that the boss is crazy? 360-degree understanding. Lopsided understanding. Teacher is crazy. This beard guy is crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Do you understand that? That is the journey of the Eastern wisdom. I'm just giving a glimpse of it. It is an overview in this fourth session. It is an overview. Now see that we find a total disconnect. We find a total disconnect from what I believe to what I need to do. What it means? I told someone, said, go to your son and say sorry. That this is too much. I'm the father. I'm the mother. So there is a total disconnect between these two. Method is to say sorry, seek forgiveness, and make your mind free. And here I have a big ego. How dare I say I have brought him up? Master says you need to believe your teacher who is teaching you. You have to follow in order to realize, in order to bring about a change in your practice. So that belief is pending inquiry. That belief is not the blind belief. My master told me to do this in your family, I did this. Simply, I did this. But that belief also came after a few years. I was more crazy than you, and I used to challenge my master, and he used to laugh in my private lessons sessions. From today, you are not going to say anything to your son. I'm warning you. I said, done, master. I'll not say anything. Instead, you have not to say anything about his studies when he was very young. And now I can see the result. So you see that I am standing here as an ignorant person, and the master is giving you the step and the practices here, and my mind does not see the connect between the two. But teacher gives you the practices for some reason, based on your personality, your attitude, your understanding. That is why we had a master and a disciple tradition. That is why we have a master and disciple. Master always is willing, requesting, pleading that you first put these practices into your application in your life to see the changes so that you come out, go back to the teacher with the change in your experience in your life to make you aware of these principles. I did just the opposite. Now, because we have been learning together for a couple of years, so it will help you to understand. I cannot talk like this in other sessions. We have to reach to that state of awareness. So just remember and think and contemplate, instead of six, I made it seven. It may become eight for the sake of understanding. The first is that I start with that clarity that peace and happiness is present, invoking the auspiciousness in the morning, every day when I wake up. No, I have a lot of crazy thoughts about my parents, about my honey, about my relations, about my friends. Change it. Don't ask what will happen. Do you see that is the first step? But it has, again, it has hundreds of steps. Second step, I told you, you can remember the 444. Second, third, and fourth. Fourfold desire. So you categorize. Every day you sit and you are talking to me. Even when you're listening to me, you have certain thoughts. It is pointing you to one of the four desires. Every thought. Find out. Fourfold desire, second step. Then four connections. I have to create a 360-degree understanding. So four connections. I will talk about it in our next session. And then that is known as Anu. Then fourfold practices. Three practices is all about your intellect and the mind by logical understanding. It's basically a logical understanding. And in the fourth one, you have simple, easy, and practices. And then we have, do you remember Karma Yoga? One example I gave. Anytime you see the world is responsible for my stress, I want to throw that problem to the world. I have many tools. Asking forgiveness, saying sorry, closing myself in a room and relaxing, not thinking too much about the world. We start thinking, oh, Dan, it's caused me so much of pain. No, in my room, I have to think about myself. That is a 360-degree understanding. You become instantly free. So you have applied that karma yoga, and then we have oscillation of attention. I told you the mind is going to jump because of the past impressions. takes time to purify the mind. So I have to find some means in the method by which the mind should remain focused on that journey. So once you have done the 6 steps, you have become the highest level of a seeker. Then comes again the same thing, consistent listening and learning, the higher principles, contemplation and reflection takes a few seconds, and then meditation, mindfulness becomes a non practice. Yes, close your eyes. Eyes are closed, and so we'll talk about these. Eyes are closed. 360-degree understanding. Again, I'm using the word so because you all have understood that 360-degree understanding clearly. Everyone responded positively, so it's better. So just you are contemplating. So what you're doing, you have started the practice, but still it is a non-practice. Closing my eyes, so you are aware it is symbolic to make my mind clear. Sense organs cannot perceive and realize the real self. They are limited. Oh, that is why I close my eyes. And that is why I see all the sense organs in my mind itself. That is the withdrawal of the sense organ. How can you withdraw the physical sense organs into the mind? The faculty of seeing. You may have an image about this crazy teacher. So you withdraw that, but the thought image is still there. That is okay. So it means the mind through the sense organ, even at this time, is not going outside. You have a thought image of the temperature in the mind. I'm giving you some words so that you can easily pick up. You have a thought image of the sound that you are listening. Your ears are listening, and it is going inside, it is not coming outside. The higher level of a seeker reaches to that step, that state. And that only makes you comfortable. Again, when I say comfortable, comfortable is a word. It is also a knowledge, it is also an experience. So, how the mind checks the being comfortable? I don't have any unease in the body. A very surface level of understanding. When you recognize the comfort is your nature, that is why you can be comfortable. If the comfort is not your nature, how you can become comfortable? Tell me. You see that contemplation and reflection helps you even if you have a pain. Why? In the body. Even if you have pain in the body, you see the comfort is separate from that pain. What happens? It doesn't cause you the suffering. The mind is not suffering. Body has a problem. Body is constantly changing. I cannot remain as it is what I was 5 years old. 5-year-old body, 10 years old body. We're not doing anything. And in that state of doing nothing, so you just have the two things. One is the knower, the observer, or the seer, and other is what do you see. You just check that you are separate from what you observe, what you see, what you experience. I experience. So I is the experiencer, and the experiences are of many types. Look at the head and the neck. It is not a practice. You have to understand that clearly. You're looking, you're not doing anything. Looking at the head and the neck. So there are two things here: the observer and the head and the neck as an object. Our master says they are always separate and different. They cannot go together. They cannot merge together. Due to ignorance, we mix them together. So now, once the moment you have that separation in your intellect as a knowledge, as a field of awareness, that makes you comfortable. It is not the practice makes you comfortable. So if I know it, I am comfortable. If I know it, I feel the sensation in the comfort. The right arm, first observer, is the same. Right arm is an object. Experience of the right arm is another content in the mind that is separate from me. That is enough. So when we are almost a no seeker or a beginner, then we mind is oscillated on, say, maybe on some experience or some uncomfort or some pain and some duality, and that continues. It returns again in the meditation when you practice it second time. So all the 7 steps are going to remove that. Well, left arm. So I said left arm is an object. Observer is the same. Experience of the left arm. Observer is the same. Comfort in the left arm. Observer is the same. See that? What practice you need? The middle portion of the body. Who recognizes the middle portion? It is the mind, label. But behind that, there is an observer, the middle portion of the body. Observer, you experience that. Observer, you're comfortable. Observer is separate from the observed. The knower is separate from the known. Those 7 steps helps you to clear the mind, to reach to the state of cognition. Right leg. You may think that I'm giving you a practice, but fact again, I tell you, you are contemplating, reflecting, and the moment your intellect reaches to an awareness, here is an observer, here is the right leg, here is an observer, here is the comfort, here is the observer, here is the sensation in the right leg. Observer is one, objects are many, experiences are many. And I get lost in many objects, many experiences, many relations, many emotions. And the observer is lost. When it is lost, then I become an observer with the mixture. That is how I say, you are responsible for my stress. I don't have the money, that is why I am suffering. Left leg, are you still aware? Observer, knower is one, First, it cognized left leg. Nowhere is the same. Then I have a comfort in the left leg. Nowhere is the same. Then I have sensation in the left leg. Nowhere is the same. What about the knower is one in the entire body? Knower or observer or seer. I can use these three words for the sake of understanding. You need not to still the body, body becomes naturally still. See the magic. Nothing is mystical, so that's why I'm using the word magical. Normally say it's a mystical discipline. I don't know what is mystical, and I talk about the mystical discipline. And now you casually, in the field of awareness, you are looking at the breath. See another perspective of the breath. Knower is one. It looks at the breath is going in. Knower is the same. It looks the breath is coming out. The breath, knower is the same. The breath changes. Knower is the same. The breath becomes shorter. Knower is the same. The breath becomes longer. Now, what happens when the breath becomes longer and shorter, and I incoming and the outgoing? I feel as if I have become the breath. There's a mixture between the two, and that mixture results into ignorance, and then then my breath is so short, my breath was so long, my breath changes. It is meant to change, but I'm not the breath. To reach to that state of realization, I need to follow these 7 steps which I discussed, which I gave an overview of it. Even if you try that, you can forcibly do it, you cannot do it. Try. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms, know your experiences and bring the hands down. Let's share our experiences. It helps us to reflect on that. How are you, Dennis?
Thank you. It was a practice of separation between myself and the experienced, where the focus was shifting, and I think I could even feel this process of focus shifting from the externality of the experiences and feelings and sensations to that one who experiences all that.
Yes, that is what we need to understand. Observer and observe. That is one of the main theme of this teacher who takes us to the highest level of realization that I'm just a pure consciousness and nothing else. Beautiful explanation. Thank you. How are you, David and Jerry?
Good morning. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, Dennis said it very well. For me, the 360-degree observation is a place where you can, the pain in the body is not me, the emotion in the mind is not me, the breath is not me. And it really gets you behind everything to put you in a very peaceful state.
You are right, the beautiful. That's another way to explain this. You see that is what you explain. In the beginning, I start that I am not the body. Then the mind says, body has lot of challenges. I'm not the challenges of the body because when I'm not the body, so any challenge that is taking place in the body is also not me. So that is how, but it doesn't happen. Why it doesn't happen? We are not reached to that level of being a seeker. That is the only thing. So that is why the master lays down the planning and here are the practices, here are the steps, and that is what we need to do it. That is what I briefed today in a different way. So how are you, Jerry? Beautiful.
Sir, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, there is that separation, but yet not the separation because the consciousness is always with us in our day-to-day life. So if that is truly the case, then we're living wisely. So we're not making mistakes. The mind jumps to know exactly what to do at the right time in the right place all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like having your son maybe not want to study the way you want him to study. That's okay. That's easy to don't give that any time or attention. He has to figure it out. But if the son's drinking and driving, that's a different situation where you're going to create a boundary.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That brings harm to him, others, and that's a very foolish decision. It's not about a preference, and it's also an opportunity to learn.
Yeah. Every time this is only the learning, and we keep at the center what you said is the knowledge and the wisdom. That is kept at the center. So when you keep the knowledge at the center, what you said, so observer, the knower, and the seer always finds it is different and separate from what is going on in the world. And that realization is that brings you that I'm the pure consciousness. Beautiful. How are you, Brandy?
Morning, I'm good. You touched on something during the lesson I've been working on, and that's if you have these intrusive thoughts or any thoughts that you don't want to have, change them, right? And it can be as simple as changing it with the word peace, even in English. That you said that because I can't always remember the Sanskrit stuff, but just like that simple, and so, but sometimes not that simple. Like that's what Saturdays I think are all about.
Yes, beautiful. That is beautiful. I have to live into that state of awareness, and that state of awareness is hijacked by my mind, my preferences, my desires. So, again, desire, fourfold desire. Is my mind fixed on the fourth desire? And that makes it simple. Beautiful. Thank you, Brandy. How are you, Terry?
Oh, I love all these key phrases. They're very helpful to identify what is going on, like oscillating attention.
Yeah.
That really, that was very helpful to me. Thinking about, and what Dennis said about separation.
Yeah.
Just remembering those words, I think helps me to remember the concept.
Yes.
And then I can keep it with me longer.
First, you remember the concept and then internalize. You have a realization. Now, see, there is a total darkness. Say, for example, in my room, there is a total darkness. Whom do you see? You say, no, no one. Now there is a light. Whom do you see? No, I see the mouse and I see your crazy face. So, in the presence of the light, you see my face and the mouse. Clear? Next question. Does anything happens to the light?
No.
Nothing happens to the light. We are that consciousness light. We are that light of the consciousness. Nothing happens to that light. Body is changing, mind is changing, and all the events are taking place. That is the seer. That is what the Dennis and you all explained. That is the observer. That is the witness. And that has led to realize our masters that we are nothing but pure consciousness of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. That is the meaning. चिदानंद रूप शिवोहम शिवम. गाने से नहीं चलेगा. How are you, Sam?
Good. I really appreciate something that you said about, well, two things about the comfort coming from the knowledge and not from the practice.
Yes.
And the other is the merging with the breath. A short anecdote: I had a situation this week at work. My manager wasn't in, and somebody asked me to do something for them, and I was working on it, and I forgot to ask a clarifying question. And I did the ask, I finished the task, and then I realized that I may be handing it in without having asked a clarifying question. The guy called me and he was like, "When are you going to be done?" And I said 45 minutes instead of asking the clarifying question. My whole back tensed up, my body kind of reacted to that anxiety and not asking the question, the clarifying question. I sat for a second and I said, I'm not going to be subject to this. All I have to do is go ask a question, clarify. I did. I finished. I sent it in, and it was all good. But that just goes to show how the outside world and our egos prevent us from seeing who we really are and what we really are. And there was no problem. What if I made a mistake? It's no big deal, right?
Yeah, it's a beautiful.
I apologize.
Yeah. Now see, you all, each one has shared your experiences where your mind was focused. That helps me to design the next lesson. So you see that you picked up a beautiful point that knowledge of being comfortable is an integral part of my real self. Just doing anything, sitting in a particular state or lying down or sitting in a lotus pose is not going to create that comfort. That has to be understood. But it cannot be understood because we get we get identified with it. And that identification causes the ignorance, and ignorance causes the suffering. That is why we say asatoma satgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya. How are you, sir? Ashok, sir?
Namaste, sir.
Namaste, sir.
Sir, all good, peaceful, and everything fine. No question. Thank you so much.
Very good. You know, I told, do you remember the sar in Hindi means the head? In English, sir means the teacher. So I'm not a sir, I'm feet. Thank you. That is all for today.